Welcome everyone to the Predictive Playbook. This is Manny's Irish Pub Sports Betting Show, and I am your host, John Ryan. I'm going to be joined by several Wager Talk and Sports Memo personalities from what I understand. Sometimes when you say you can make it down to the pub for a couple pints, something will come up and it prevent you from having that enjoyment. But on a Friday, really nothing stands in the way of that, although it can. But I'm very psyched for this week. We have some exciting college football cards. As bad as last week's card looked, I did pretty well in it. I did very well in it, actually. I'm hitting 68% for the season so far in college football, and I have a 5-pack right now over at sportsmemo.com. $49 for 5 picks. A 5 percenter is included, which is my top-rated pick. I did give out a 10 unit for the first time last week with Colorado State, covering easily by 13.5 points over Iowa. I also have a total tonight in the Iowa-Maryland game all by itself for just $9. You can get that right now. And the 5-pack premium pick for all of my plays on Saturday. 4 4-unit plays and 1 monster 5-unit upset alert. So tomorrow is going to be very, very exciting. We have 2 games that are very similar to college football in the NFL. We have Mississippi going to Tuscaloosa to take on the Crimson Tide, where we kind of have the father and son with Nick Saban and Lane Kiffin going head-to-head. They used to be kind of coaching teammates in many ways. They were, clearly. But then on Sunday night, we have Tom Brady going back to New England. With all that pomp and circumstance, it'll be incredible as that leads up to the game. But eventually, I think we're going to see a really, really exciting game there in New England. And speaking of New England, the betting flows are starting to get a little concerning here. It seems like more than the world. I would say half the solar system is on the Bucks now. And as you guys know, I'm a bit contrarian when it comes to that. And we'll have to see how that goes tomorrow. I'll probably be doing shows over the weekend too, guys. It might be solos or they might be with myself and Dr. Chuck, depending on his schedule. We know you guys like those shows, and we want to try to deliver as much good content as possible. I'm going to take a look at the golf now because Mac's on record and a bunch of other guys will probably be joining in the chat room as soon as they see that we are on the air. And Will Zalatoris, one of the guys that I have, played extraordinarily well. This is the first time I'm looking at it, guys and gals. So 13 under, Will Zalatoris, and Cameron Young had another good day, 67-65. Hayden Buckley, who's a new guy, I believe, from the Corn Ferry Tour. Yesterday's leader, Sahith Theegala, is 4th at 11 under. He's 3 under for the day after shooting 64. Aaron Weiss, minus 10. He shot 66 today. That's pretty darn good shooting, 68-66. Other names that might be familiar here, Harold Varner III was on my list of 17 golfers. And for those that don't know what I'm talking about, I put together, it's a machine learning application that identifies a pool of players. It's usually between 15 and 20, sometimes 21, counting ties, of course, in the grading. But among those, there's an endless possibility of 6 players. It's a monster number to have every single entry. Unfortunately for us, you don't want to even do that for the 50 cent per entry because it'll cost you a mint and it doesn't guarantee you anything. But it would be reasonable to suggest that the winning there's a winning combination among those 17 that requires a little bit of luck on your part to identify the players and put them in your 6-team lineup. And I'm doing it, providing it just so you guys have that opportunity to throw in like 2, 3, 4, 5 lineups based on those players, along with your own research. So, hope it's helping. Can't wait till somebody actually hits the big one and then, goes in the chat room and says they want to share some of the money with me with my 20% commission. And of course, I'm kidding. I don't think I wouldn't take a dime from somebody who won even $500 in a DraftKings lineup. I'm just not that kind of person. So, looking at the leaderboard here, I know the Cup. I thought maybe the Cup was going to be like -2 to -3 based on yesterday's round. I was looking at that at about 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And it's going to be higher than that, I think. -4. Almost, well, there's a lot of guys T62 here, but they're not likely to go down. There's only, what is it? There's a definitely many more golfers here on the golf course. Some of them are just starting out, on their 6th or 7th hole is the last group. So there still is kind of a long way to go here. Maybe it'll go to -5. But I do want to check out the Draftking lineup here real quick while nobody's here, and see how we're doing in the ones I did. Well, we have 2 out of the 5 are doing pretty well. The one, I love saying I'm in 4,177th spot, but it's out of like 250,000. So that puts it in perspective. It's like being 4th out of 25. That's probably a better way to look at it. But that has Zalatoris in it, Pereira, which we played last week. We played on him, well, 2 weeks ago. Chingali, which we played 2 weeks ago, is doing pretty well. Adam Hadwin, Nick Hardy, and Thompson is +1. He was $6,000 and came up pretty high because of the value. But there's no value if he doesn't make the cut. So he's going to have to turn on the Jets here if he wants to play on the weekend. And he's through 7. He has time, but he's going to have to shoot, something pretty spectacular on the back here. That would be a shame to have those 5 and then not the 6th. That would be a bummer. And the other lineup real quick as I go through this here. This is a single entry one. I love the single entries because then you avoid the syndicates. The groups of of 100 guys putting in $1,000 each, and they can overwhelm an event with being able to do all those combinations I mentioned. They can also lose a lot too. I prefer the easy way of just doing the single entries and sticking with them. This one has Zalatoris in it, Howard Varner III, Charlie Hoffman, Pendrith, who is 7 under, and then we have Sig, who is +3, and I think he is done too. So that one doesn't have 5. That doesn't have 6 getting through either, and the goal was to get 6. So it's an event that was pretty hard to get 6 through, but obviously there's going to be a lot of people who are going to be successful with it. So let's see if anybody's waiting for me in the... Nope, not yet. But I better just resend the link here in case... I'm going to do that right now. Let's see... Yep, they're going to be coming in soon here. Yep, they all have the... Yep, they all have the show link. So until they come on, let's try something new, because a lot of times I do these monologues. I was thinking of asking the chat room if they had a game that they wanted me to break down. I know James Lill was in the chat room yesterday and wanted me to talk about UCLA and Arizona State. That play is one that I do like, and we'll be going to the window. I don't like it that it's down to +3. Obviously, I could have banged it out earlier in the week. Didn't do it, but I think I may actually play the money line on Arizona State. I think they're clearly the better team. UCLA secondary, I was looking at some of the game film from their previous game, which it escapes me who it was, but on several occasions in a lot of their games, their secondary is getting torched, and it's getting torched badly. They're the 5th worst in the nation, allowing 330 yards per game through the air. And Arizona State has a kid that is showing the 3rd most improvement by a quarterback in the nation from last season. His metrics overall are up 15% over last year, and that is just outstanding. That's like a Jeff Burrows type of increased performance. Nobody knew who he was until that magical year, and it wasn't a magical year. He's actually doing pretty well still. So that is a good thing there, and I think Arizona State wins that game outright, and I'm hoping that James Lill will see that in the chat room. In fact, I'm going to put that right now. Arizona State money line over Arizona State money line over UCLA. So we got the acronyms. And here's our good friend and pal, Dr. Chuck. He's the first one to join me today. How's it going, Dr. Chuck?
All right, buddy. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for joining me on a Friday. You're making your debut on Manny's Irish Pub Sports Betting Show, so I'm really glad to have you. We had a couple of videos that I must say they kicked ass. I mean, they just plain and simple. I don't know how to say it, but I wanted to say that mainly to say thank you to the people who viewed it, because that makes us want to do better. It makes us want to bring more content your way, and maybe dive a little bit deeper once in a while with some of the analytics that Chuck and I like to talk about. But I was just doing
the video.
The
video was great. I enjoyed making the video. Love that so many people viewed it. Of course, it's a loser. So you did go under. So we squeezed out a win on your aspect. The Bengals did not show up defensively like I thought they would with the 7-point cover. But
well, to make you feel even worse, that was the first loss our little panel has taken now in 13 games. But I'm kidding about that, Dr. Chuck. I mean,
oh no, it makes me feel worse. Luckily, I guess the number of times I get to do the Manny's Pub Show, where we still drinking our Carvassier right here, celebrating a Bengals victory either way.
That was a crazy game. I wanted I use the machine learning apps and the models, right? So, and I don't really like saying that word because a lot of people use that word and they don't even have any idea what it is. However, it was really heavily leaning towards Jacksonville.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about it for the Circa. Yeah. But then if I do the Thursday game, then I'm like this. I'm handcuffed.
Oh yeah.
Right away on a Thursday night,
and we did discuss this. My pick was to take the Bengals if you can get that 6.5, and I saw some of the comments were that they did, and that once it got to 7.5, it was not going to be Bengals, and we did talk about that. And I'm not trying to make light of the fact that I lost.
Right. No,
it's a loss.
Yep.
I said. There, I was discussing with the guy on the comments, and he was saying that, he's like, oh, I can't believe you use analytics when you can just use your eyeballs, and we're going to have to agree to disagree on that.
I think you have to, tongue in cheek. I think you have to use both. I mean, you have to, like yourself. I don't watch too many games from start to finish. Last night was one I watched, pretty much start to finish, along with Virginia. I was on Virginia last night for the premium clients, so that was a good pick. College football is still rolling at 68%.
We were on Virginia too, so at least if you had all access football, you came out 1-1 with me. But actually, I had the first half under in the Jaguars Bengals, so I guess maybe you squeaked out a 2-1. But I
think 1-1, maybe. We try to grade these honestly, and meaning honestly is that we'll use the consensus line. It's hard to give out a line like on a show right now and say I'm going to take XYZ team at plus 3.5, and then all of a sudden news comes out. Guys watching it tomorrow morning, trying to figure out who's going to bet on. Now the line's up at 6.5. Yet we come back on the show next week and say, "What a great call! They won by 6, but our customer had 6.5 and lost." I mean,
and that's one of the things that's nice to, be transparent. And like
Yeah.
you said, you need to not, you got to take the good with the bad. But I can't believe we didn't talk about the Virginia game because we were both on that and we didn't even know we were both on that. But it kind of reminds me of a game tonight that I have a feeling you're on as well, where I
Might be a Big Ten game.
I didn't agree which team was a dog. I don't really agree which team's a dog tonight, although I understand it. Miami has to be favored, even though I didn't think they would win. And I understand Iowa has to be favored. They're the number 5 team. But I think you and I probably are lockstep on where we're going with that game.
Oh, I think so. I actually have a total for $9 right now in that matchup. And then tomorrow I have a 5%er tied with four unit plays. All in one package, so you don't have to worry about coming back and wondering if I have a play at 10 o'clock or if I'm on Hawaii, which I can promise you I'm not going to be playing the midnight game.
Yeah.
Those games rarely come up on my radar, and you don't have to worry about that. But at least with this package now, you know you're getting my whole day, and you don't have to worry about coming back, and you can get it now. And Chuck, I know you have a 5%er, I believe, in Major League Baseball going tonight, and guys. I have a lot of respect for a lot of the great handicappers and professional sports bettors at Wager Talk and Sports Memo in Major League Baseball, for example. But Chuck is among the best, if not the best, I've ever had the pleasure of knowing, and I'm not lying. It's just truth. I mean, the guy is just like he's got this. I know he doesn't have a crystal ball, but he's got the Midas touch. He's got the Midas touch. That's what it is.
And I don't want to jinx or, put at stake how great of a year we've had. It's been unbelievable. I'm going to finish up more units this season than in most of the career combined prior. And so it has been a great year, but man, the value once things happen, like we did our beginning of the week show on Phillies Braves, that didn't turn out at all, but the Phillies still have to play 3 more games, and so do the Braves. It's like Christmas. It's like Christmas come early when you get this stuff, because sure, you could try and spend your money and figure out what's going to happen with the Yankees and the Mariners and who, blah blah blah, and what are the Rays going to do and et cetera. But you can also remember that the Phillies have to play 3 games.
Yep.
And tonight they play one of the best starters in the entire league. So I'm not. I don't want to give away too much, but.
No, definitely don't give it away. It's the cost of that beer he's drinking. It doesn't cost much to get these plays.
No. But yeah, if you can stomach putting some of your money that you have planned for Saturday and Sunday on some baseball tonight, there's some value out there. It's insane.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, I agree. And I'm really surprised how the Phillies fell dead, especially with the bats. I don't think it's going to change whether Harper wins the MVP award or not.
No, and
you don't get an MVP for a bad series.
No. Well, and like you said, it's just, I guess maybe we should have seen it coming. They get blown out. Well, they don't get blown out, but they look meager and weak on Sunday, and then we expect Tuesday rolls around in a really important series, and it didn't happen. Against a much better team, but maybe. Yeah,
no question. I lost with the Phillies on the second game of that series. So I thought if they lose in the first one, all right, they'll have a little bit of moxie. But 162 games. I coached baseball, anywhere from the age of 12U to 17U, and when you get into the 16 and 17Us, you can play over 50 games during the course of a summer, and sometimes more. But these guys are doing 162, and you get tired doing something like I just described in the 50s, where you have a little bit of travel. But these guys are literally finishing a game, taking a shower, relaxing a little bit, getting on a jet, flying somewhere else for 4 days, playing 4 days in a row, taking a shower. It wears. I can't even imagine the wear and tear. I just can't even imagine it.
And it's without making it into a big thing. So much has changed now because in between that shower and that dinner and that flight, you're reading all that garbage about you on the internet now, which didn't used to happen. And it's just got to affect people, like LeBron says things like, I don't read that. Well, I mean, the way you act sure makes it seem, and it's just got to be, it's got to be difficult. Not to mention, not only that, but there's 100 articles out there about who might win the Cy Young and who might win the MVP. And, Zach Wheeler comes into that game thinking this might do it, and that, like, those kind of, just there's added aspects to all of this now that you just have to figure out. And it's, probably shame on both of us for thinking that after that Pirates series, it was all going to be fine. And we'd have a fun week of tense, good baseball. And that is not at all what we got.
No, we have quite the wild card race.
If you stayed up late.
Yeah, they are there. I mean, what I'm trying to figure out is the scenario where 3 of the teams tie.
Mm-hmm.
Because there are 4. Toronto, that was a really, really bitter loss last night by them to the Yankees. So they're 3 games behind the Yankees with 3 to go. Who does Toronto play?
Oh my gosh! Well,
because they could, it was on the tip of my tongue too.
Ridiculous
Tampa Bay
on the tip of my tongue because I was ready to talk about the Yankees, but they play the O's. Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, I mean they could. I mean they should. Boston didn't sweep the Orioles, but Boston plays Washington. You would think that they would beat. With Rodriguez going tonight, the line's like -200 against Josh Rogers. And I'm not saying Josh Rogers is nothing, but when your season's on the line with 3 to go, I would think that Boston would wait, would come to the game prepared and just wallop them.
Yeah.
And then the Blue Jays play the Orioles, as we just mentioned, and the Yankees play the Rays.
I think it's really fascinating because, like you said, the 2 other teams aren't really playing tough matchups. The Mariners aren't really either. They're home against the Angels. But what's interesting is the team in the entire league on both sides, other than the White Sox, that has nothing to play for at this point, just happens to be playing the Yankees tonight and tomorrow and Sunday. And it's really interesting because, Alex Cora might have something to say about how this is handled, but Kevin Cash has no incentive after McClanahan tonight to pitch anybody that's worthwhile.
Yep.
He might even, to rest his bullpen, he could throw a right fielder out there on the mound, and that's going to be the Red Sox fault. If Kevin Cash after the 5th inning rolls over, it's going to be the Red Sox fault, unfortunately, and I don't want it to be that way, but what on earth is Kevin Cash going to pitch any of his decent bullpen pieces any of these 3 games? No incentive.
No, right, 0. And same thing with the Dodgers. I think that they're hosting the Brewers. The Brewers really don't need to do anything tonight. They have Eric Lauer going tonight, so you would think Clayton Kershaw on the hill tonight.
Now the only thing about that is Dave Roberts admitted that they've been scoreboard watching, and the Giants' game starts before theirs.
Oh, that's right, 9:45. So it's almost a half hour.
I'd be a little worried that if the Giants do what they do a lot of times and put up a 4 spot in the 1st inning, that the team behind Kershaw is going to all of a sudden be like, well, that's it. Because I think, if I'm right, the Dodgers have to win all 3, the Giants have to lose all 3 just to play Monday.
If that happened, I think the Dodgers would win by 1.
Oh, they would? Okay.
They would still win the division.
Okay.
So obviously, if the tie would be the Dodgers sweep.
If the Giants win tonight, is it over?
Well, I guess they could theoretically. Well, no. I guess it. Or let me bring the standings up here.
Okay.
So it's a 2-game lead for the Giants with 3 to go.
Okay.
So Giants win tonight and Dodgers lose, that would do it.
Okay.
Because then they would be 3 games with 2 to go. But if they both win, then there's still a chance at that tie if the Giants would lose the next two. So the Giants, to get in for sure, no matter what the Dodgers do, if they win 2 of the 3, they're in.
Okay.
I mean, they're the division winner.
Gotcha. Well, so I don't have a play in that Brewers-Dodgers game, but the one thing that always piques my interest is, I like Eric Lauer, and I've backed out Eric Lauer a lot. I think he's a little underrated, and you get 1.5. It's the bloated nature of being the Dodgers. You get 1.5, a team that won the division, and you're getting plus 1.5 at plus money. It's hard not to at least pizza bet that, right? I mean,
yeah, absolutely.
Anytime you're going to get the run line is just naturally going to be more expensive, and when it's not more expensive, it's hard not to at least look at it. Especially when you're, let's say, the road team in this situation, and it comes down late, and you're down 4-2, and you pop a solo home run in the top of the ninth, and you win. It's over. You lose 4-3, and so it's just, I don't know. It's hard not to, run it. You're looking at a run line on a game you think is going to be close, and you're thinking, I'm going to have to pay $1.30 for this. And I think the Brewers are even money to plus 105, and so it's pretty interesting because of the potentially not as important nature of the game. Is this the other thing is, you're looking at the standings right now, just to solidify this, is this might be who we see next week if the Dodgers win the wild card.
That's right.
It'd be Giants, Braves, and Brewers, Dodgers, right?
That is right. But they would also play, as you mentioned, the Cardinals in the wild card, and I wouldn't want to.
No, and I'm not looking past the Cardinals, but I'm saying,
right.
What does Craig Counsell do tonight? So then, which is another thing, keeps me a little bit off of it is
that's right.
Is Craig Counsell
Giants, Braves, and Brewers, Dodgers. Yep.
Is he going to shed blood tonight to give anything up? For a team that they might have a 5-game series with starting in a few days. So I don't know. But same could be said for Dave Roberts. I mean, nobody wants that 1-game playoff, but it's, I don't know.
Well, St. Louis is in the catbird seat, I guess, because they can line everything up perfectly, and have the confidence to, okay, this is what we're going to do to win the one-game wild card play-in game, and then once we get in, we know we're going to be playing the Giants and get the pitching matched up for that, and they probably have the best advantage of the remaining teams, even though they're not a division winner.
Yeah. They already announced Wainwright will be ready. He's going.
Yeah. Experience.
But I'm sure Schilt will have other, he's going to, it's not, I don't know what's lined up if he's saving everybody for that, but, there's a good chance that you can find a AAA guy to make your start tomorrow and Sunday and have everything.
That's right.
Ready.
Well, we got one of my buddies here. We have Rob Vino, who knows how to put his headset on, versus Tony Finn, who forgot his headset yesterday.
Is he not around today?
I thought he was.
Tony Mejia should be right behind me. I'm limited, buddy. I got like 19 minutes before these.
That's fine. Dr. Chuck and I already gave out like 22 guaranteed winners, and there's nothing more to talk about.
We're boring everybody with baseball probably, and so we need some Rob Vino football action up in here.
We're late. Our pal Ranieri had technical difficulties over there on that show, so we started late. That's why we're in late, but we got it done. So how is everything, Chuck? We good?
Yeah, pretty good.
Very good.
I'm still overly excited about baseball, as in week 5 of college football, but still.
Mm-hmm. Here's Tony.
Tony Mejia.
Pretty well.
Hello, guys.
I beat him
Meet
down
Dr.
the hall.
Chuck.
Yes.
I had to go get some water, Rob. Got some water, and I'm good to go. Keep the throat fresh.
We went. Rob, I think you and I went 2-0 yesterday.
We're
on the
both choking
show.
on water.
We did. We did, actually, because I was under, and you supported that, and then you went Bieber first 5, and that was a no-brainer. And that brings our show record up to. We are.
Luckily, not counting the Bengals.
Yeah, this is just the record for the Manny's Pub Show. For the last 37 shows, 73, 42, and 1 tie, 63.5% winning bets for a nice 34.5% ROI. My pizza money bets of $10 each have made $491. We have a lot of them pending in the golf. But Robin, Tony, Will Zalatoris is leading.
Uh-oh.
Can you see
He's
something?
leading.
Hold on a second. Where are you? Because I rarely have my stream up. There you are. Well, somebody dropped off, but can you see it? No, you can't. Oh, there you go. There's
Oh,
Alex.
he made a play.
No,
Oh.
on my list. So I am in the mix to win a winner take all. I won $2,000 yesterday the other day when I was really sick on baseball. I finished first in like a $33 contest. So that was
Nice.
great. Yeah.
How much did that pay?
Huh?
That paid a lot, didn't it?
Yeah, first out of 2,000. 2,000 because it drops to 750 if you finish second.
And
Yeah, I've got a lot of play money. Took some stuff out responsibly, and I've got.
And you,
what's the cut going to to Because I've got.
well, you
I
know,
got
Rob.
a 3.
Rob Vino's my agent. So you obviously used my data and my intelligence to put this winning lineup together, right?
Zalatoris, that's for sure.
Okay. Seriously, we're just kidding around, but we got a long way to go with the golf. But no one saw that guy yesterday coming and leading the first round. That's for sure. I have.
Don't tell Tony Finn you won money, Tone, because he looks to borrow.
I've had three by five lineups. Will have 5 of the 6, and I probably will not get all 6 through this week. But this is a.
What's the cut going to be?
I think it could go to 5.
Oh,
minus
really?
5, which would definitely put one of my guys out.
Yeah, it looks that way for me too.
But in these you'll still cash, I think, getting 5 of the 6 through because it's such a. You have 24 new golfers alone from the Korn Ferry Tour, and one of those was leading yesterday. So now the tour is going to get even deeper, but it gets separated at the majors. That I think those are the easiest to handicap for the DraftKings and the FanDuels. But anyway, enough about golf.
Yes,
It's a dumb game. I think you ought to. Bowling is much better because the ball comes back to you. You don't have to walk after. You don't have to walk into the woods. In fact, you can throw a bowling ball, grab a beer, come back, and you're ready to throw again. Golf, you have to drink at least a 6-pack during the 18 holes. In fact, that's why there's 18 holes. You guys know that? There's 18 holes in golf, according to St. Andrew's legend and lore, that there's 18 shots of whiskey in a bottle of whiskey, at least back then.
So one per hole?
That's apparently what they did. I wasn't alive then. Tony Finn was, I think. We could ask him.
I don't think they would have been alive for long doing that regularly.
Hey, I have a nickname at my golf club, and it's not one that I'm proud of, really, because it doesn't sound very good, but it's called, they call me Two Beer Johnny. So I will play around, and I'll have my 2 beers, and then I go. But the habit started a long time ago because I was, and maybe it was smart, maybe I was just over cautious, but I was scared to death of getting a DUI. Like 20 years ago.
Yeah. No.
That's where it started. I figured 2 beers. I've weighed 205 pounds my whole life. I'm 6'3". 2, I'm probably not over 0.08. 20, I'm probably over 0.08.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I mean, if it comes down to 2 or 20, then I think you're making the right choice.
Well, now the peer pressure, even there's peer pressure every single decade of your life because now my buddies say, well, you're a wimp. You could call Uber. Call a family member and have them come pick you up if you can't drive. Oh, I'll see you guys next week.
Yeah, we're in the...
There he goes.
I hate headaches too. I hate headaches.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Cedric.
I'll start, and this may be my best bet for the show. I'm going to take Mississippi, and I listened to both of you guys today on the Wager Talk Today show, which was really, really good. And not because the Prez wasn't there, it just was really good. Just like listening to you guys.
What's your buddy Steve Merrill?
Yeah, I forgot that he was the host. Sorry, Steve. But anyway, I was listening to what you had to say with Mississippi, and they kind of gave Alabama a run last year, but now that defense and the fact that the one takeaway from the shows this week, and that's what makes these shows so great, is Rob Vino was emphatic, and I think Tony Mejia was emphatic too, that Florida was able to push Alabama all over the place in the ground attack, 257 rushing yards, and Mississippi is not Lane Kiffin's offense that was at Alabama. I mean, this is a balanced attack with a lot of confidence, and they basically can use up to 5 running backs, keep them fresh. So I will go out on a limb, and I did this once last year, and it worked out. This one is not quite as big as a dog, but there was a show that I was on, and I took LSU plus 27.5 over Florida, and I said it's too many points. But the guys on the show started saying you don't know what you're talking about. Florida's going to win by 60. And I just got irritated. I really, it's hard for you guys to believe that I would actually get my feathers ruffled and get irritated. But I said, all right, damn it. Money line. Give it to me. And we know the result. LSU beat Florida. But it was only because I was irritated. And I'm not irritated now. Oh, yeah. I mean, it was pretty good Twitter entertainment there for me. I think it was the first time I really got in the limelight for about 3 seconds. But for this game, I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to call the upset. I know Alabama's only lost twice in Tuscaloosa. Ole Miss won back-to-back seasons, 2014, 2015. Look at my notes here. Alabama's won 5 consecutive in this SEC series, outscoring them by 298 to 132. But you know what that is, guys? That's a history lesson. That tells you nothing what's going to happen tomorrow. Since 2013, Crimson Tide 54-2 in Tuscaloosa. 2 losses came against number 1 LSU, 46-41 in 2019 to then number 1 LSU. The other was to, guess who? Number 15 Ole Miss, 43-37 in 2015. However, after the 2015 loss in Week 3, the Crimson Tide steamrolled everybody, including Clemson, in the championship game, winning the championship and capping off a 12-game win streak. So maybe history will repeat here, and Ole Miss wins tomorrow, and then Alabama just kind of gets mad and does what they usually do.
JB Smoove is giving you plus 500 at Caesars.
Oh,
that doesn't even sound like enough.
No, it's better than everybody else. Everybody else is in the 470.
And the way to be smart about this, we talk about a sprinkle on the money line. I'll do more than a sprinkle. We'll do 4% on Mississippi, and then what do you think? Should I do 1.5 units on the money line just to be bold?
Yeah,
I guess one is enough.
I will definitely say that I'm gonna be taking the points with Ole Miss. I don't think Alabama is as battle tested as they need to be for this particular matchup. You play a terrible Southern Miss team. You played Mercer. The Gators pushed you around because you ran out of gas, and Miami is clearly not, who we thought they might be at the beginning of the season. And really didn't put up there was no game pressure in that game for the Tide. Do I believe this Crimson Tide defense is better than last year's? Sure, but I don't think that they're as tested as they would as they were to face. I don't know why my watch is doing that, but this Ole Miss team is legit. Like, they're gonna push tempo. If your defense is not where it needs to be conditioning wise, there are going to be issues even on the road. So I definitely think Ole Miss will push them around, and it's not like you can rely on Mac Jones to get you in the right play if it's a tight game down the stretch like they were able to last year. People look at the final score last year and forget that it was a one possession game with 2 minutes to go because Alabama added a late touchdown, and it was tied with 11 minutes to go, and that was with Lane Kiffin's first team. So,
Yeah.
I think, and Lane Kiffin's only team at Tennessee, that was like a 12-10 game somehow. I don't remember it at all, but I was doing research on that and was surprised that it wasn't a blowout.
Good stuff. Dr. Chuck, you have anything to add before I go over to Rob Vino for his... Well, I basically said everything that Rob Vino probably wanted to say, but he can say more. But
yeah, no, I'm gonna turn the. I'll enjoy this game and turn the analysis over. There's some dogs that I think are worth a money line look. I'm not going Ole Miss. You could get me. You could probably get me on some a little. Well, I'll take just the points, but I'm definitely take the points with Rutgers. I'll take the points with Arkansas. But
let's come back to that. Let's see what Rob Vino has to say about this Alabama-Mississippi.
Yeah.
And if he thinks I finally received that shipment of mushrooms from Tony Finn.
You'll never get it.
Well, Tony tends to hoard those type of things. He's not going to give those away. Yeah, I mean, we talked a lot about it yesterday, John, what the difference in Ole Miss might be this year, what the difference in Alabama might be this year. Back to the Florida-Alabama game, which we've made a point of the line of scrimmage in that game. And, in fairness to Alabama, one more time I'll say it, they had linebacker issues in that game. Will Richardson, I think, did play in that contest, about 75%, whatever he was, but they were missing a couple healthy guys. And that didn't have everything to do with it, though. Again, over the past 5 or 6 years, what gives Nick Saban's defense trouble is extreme tempo with a dual-threat quarterback. And we saw it with Emory Jones. And Emory Jones is not even the best passer in the world, but we saw it. They don't like it. Like we said yesterday, he's a guy who tried to abolish it. No, we can't have this extreme tempo because, you know what, too many defensive players are going to get hurt. And it makes me laugh because the poor offensive linemen are like 360 pounds, and they're running extreme tempo, and they're not getting hurt. So, Nick Saban he didn't like it. He didn't want it in the game, and they really haven't been able to correct it and be able to defend it. And this lightning speed that Lane Kiffin goes at, listen, Dan Mullen's a great offensive coordinator. Lane Kiffin's a great offensive coordinator. Lane Kiffin happens to have a guy who can run and throw. Not as fast as Emory Jones, but Matt Corral can engineer this offense very, very well. So unless he goes out of the game, in which case I guess they just bring John Reese Plumlee in from wide receiver and put him back at quarterback. So they're not even in that bad a situation if he gets hurt, to tell you the truth. This offense, You watch Lane Kiffin's career after he got out of Alabama when he went to Florida Atlantic, and you see what he was trying to do. All he's done is he's copied Art Briles' power spread offense. It's what he wanted to run. You can see it by the coordinators he hired at FAU. He hires Jeff Lebby to be his offensive coordinator here, and they're off to the races right now with this offense. It's the second year in the systems. He's recruiting, and he's going to continue to recruit. So they're only going to get better. The best of Ole Miss hasn't been seen yet under Lane Kiffin offensively. And defensively, with DJ Durkin, a guy who got run right out of Maryland before he could even coach a game because of some of his on-field. I think it was with a player.
Player died.
But something on-field, I can't remember exactly, got him chucked. I didn't think he'd get another job. He did. Chris Partridge comes over with him. They've got the defense at least better. Ole Miss doesn't have to be that much better. I think somebody said it best yesterday. In football nowadays, teams go for great offense, middle-of-the-road defense. It's all you need anymore. You don't need to be the steel curtain of 75 to 79. It's not necessary. If you have it, great, but it's not necessary. Ole Miss, they got a lot of money here, guys. We'll see. Bryce Young, the $1 million man, what are you going to do in this game? He gets it at home in front of the home fans, which is a little different than going to the swamp. But, if I had to play, I would probably play Ole Miss. They're probably going to make that total look small. We said it yesterday, John. I mean, 80 looks
80.
like this huge, humongous number. But Lane Kiffin, those guys hung 45 in the first half on Tulane. And I don't even think they were breathing heavy yet. So I think there's a lot of points to be scored in this game. And Ole Miss plus is probably the direction I'd look.
And you and I mentioned yesterday the depth that Ole Miss has on defense. In fact, they have, and I'm looking at a website that I like a lot, rlads.com. It's real good for depth chart and draft evaluation, in my opinion. I don't, it's not an advertisement. I don't even know the one name of anybody that does these analyses, but I found them quite useful. And if you think about it, if Alabama wants to run tempo against them, that's to Mississippi's advantage compared to Alabama, who does not have the depth on defense that they've had previous years. And one guy to watch, I think, at the defensive end position, the starter is Cedric Johnson, who's a sophomore, number 33. The backup is a senior transfer, and he's listed by them as a first or second round pick. And he doesn't start, but he comes in and they rotate these guys in and out. So number 22 is, I can't pronounce his first name, it's Tarikius Tisdale. Just remember Tisdale, number 22. And let's see how much he impacts the game, because I got a gut feeling that that's going to be what they're going to do, and they're going to stay a lot fresher than Alabama's defensive front. And it's going to be pretty toasty warm down there, too, in Tuscaloosa. Which is not an Alabama advantage, by the way, because Mississippi's in Oxford. So both teams are used to it. Let's go back to Dr. Chuck for a couple of his upset dogs, because this seems to be the weekend that we're going to get that in both leagues. College football and the NFL seems to be shaping up for that. But let's see where Dr. Chuck has us with some upset alerts.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm not going so far as, I don't want to get irritated to the point where I just yell money line like you, John. But, there's a lot of aspects of that Rutgers hosting the Buckeyes. It's just, if you need anything other than, Shiano and the inside information there with the staff and getting 15 points, it's a similar spread to the game we just been discussing with Ole Miss and Alabama. I think Arkansas is actually, kind of the real deal, and I think that's a lot of points for Georgia. I don't know if I take either of those teams to win whatever, Tony says that the money line could offer you there. But there's a couple of really disgusting dogs, which is kind of like where I like to look on college football. And you're getting Akron at home, almost 10 points, maybe the worst team in the country. I think that's a good spot to look at if you want a dog. I think UConn going to Nashville, I think might actually beat Vandy. If you want to do that, might be the spot. If you want to take the most disgusting, hold your nose line of the week. UConn going to Vandy, getting a bunch of points. I think both those spots. I think that just in general, I think you're getting value on a spot where people just know. I think Ohio is going to have trouble this year with personnel and coaching and things like that. But I think everybody thought they'd be better than this. And I was back in Vanderbilt when Stanford was coming in that sandwich game, and that didn't work out for me. And so I think there's some really good dogs out there in addition to Ole Miss that you could really rake in against the public here.
Yeah, there's probably one going tonight too.
Yeah. Your favorite Iowa team?
Yeah, and I'm probably in the minority. I guess Dr. Chuck likes Maryland tonight, but Iowa. Again, you guys on the show yesterday, I guess it was Rob, was saying about Iowa's defense, and Maryland hasn't played the type of schedule to date that Iowa has, and that kind of stuck in my head. So I'm less enthusiastic about Maryland, but I still think with the home crowd being in a frenzy on a Friday night, primetime TV, national TV, it might be a little bit overwhelming for Iowa. And then they have to go home and take on Penn State next week. That's a lot tougher than it looked preseason for Iowa, for sure. Mr. Mejia, do you have any upset alerts brewing that you could share? I don't want you to give out any of your prime picks, obviously, but just thoughts of possible traps for the false favorite.
I mean, I could see Troy going to South Carolina and winning. They come off an awful loss, a game that they should have won, I believe, against ULM, and nobody loses to ULM.
Yeah,
it was Terry Bowden's first win there. So maybe nobody sees that coming. It's only 2-1 too. So I think that typically you would see an SEC team, even if it is the Gamecocks, favored by a little more than what they are. So Troy, could rise up. It's your typical medium Sun Belt team beating one of the worst in the SEC. I could see that. We just talked about Oregon State and Washington, and now Oregon State is actually the favorite. But just when I saw the line opened, everybody jumped on Oregon State instantly. But I said, that line looks way short, because you typically would imagine Washington would be at least a 3-point favorite on the road. They've won 9 straight in that series, but Oregon State comes off that impressive win over USC that most people saw, and Washington has looked like Washington this season, and that's not good. So I could see Oregon State winning, and right now it's Oregon State actually a 1.5-point favorite.
What do you guys think briefly about the Oregon, number 3 team in the land, favored by 8 over Stanford? Now, granted, it's in Stanford, but that should make that much of a difference. It just seems to be, if you're number 3 and you're playing Stanford, shouldn't you be favored by about 17? It just looks like a game to me that Stanford, could just play well and catch them and beat them. And there again, I could be dead wrong, but maybe for the show purposes here, my $10 bets on the pizza money. I'm not starving, so maybe I can afford to lose it. Doing a money line parlay with Mississippi and Stanford. Now that would just about buy down payment on a car. Well, at least a used one.
Shake up the country.
Well, it wouldn't pay off that much, I guess. Plus 500 and probably about plus 350.
I guess exactly the way you described that game is how I think Iowa Maryland is tonight.
Yeah, that's even worse because Iowa's number 5 and they're favored by 3.
Number 5 team, and they're laying a field goal to a team that the public only thing public knows about this team is to his brother, and Illinois almost beat him the last time they watched.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting.
I think Iowa's just, most people saw through them not being that impressive as they looked on paper against Indiana and then against Iowa State on the road, which was an impressive win. I mean, don't get me wrong. You go into a team that's ranked higher than you, and this is their one shot to beat you because they have, their star quarterback and Purdy back and Breece Hall, who's a lights out running back, and you managed to not only beat them but really control that game. But Tagovailoa has more passing yards than Iowa has total yardage on the season. The Hawkeyes are just not impressive offensively. They're going to beat you on the defensive end. That's why I lean to the under more than Maryland in that game. But I do lean Maryland. If you can get the 3.5, which I don't know if it's gone or not, then that should have been the way to go. And certainly it depends, because that's a weird place too. I know they have an on-campus stadium, but sometimes they really support that team at College Park, and sometimes they don't. So
you're right.
If they get a bunch of students out there, could be a special night for sure.
Yeah.
Well, if there was ever a night for them to get out there, and to your point, Tony, when I was watching the Virginia-Miami game, I could not believe how empty that stadium was in Miami.
Oh, I could.
That was, I'm not calling anybody out here, but that was kind of embarrassing for a prime time game to be that vacant, Yeah,
my Miami, Virginia on a Thursday night is not going to move the needle down there. No. I spent a decade down there. They just have too much to do.
Yeah, well, South Beach is a distraction, I hear.
Yes. Fort Lauderdale Beach, too. The beautiful people must party. Yeah. And Virginia and Miami is not that raucous a fiesta.
Is that why LeBron left Miami and went to Los Angeles?
Well,
Cleveland.
We went back to Cleveland for unfinished business, and then he decided
is where dreams come
return to Miami. But I mean, look, he looked at Miami as a college experience of sorts, which is, I think, an interesting analogy because it was that he learned how to win with a stacked team and then took it elsewhere. Finished on his unfinished business in Cleveland, and now hoping for that second title with the Lakers. But Yes, I mean, look, South
You got
Florida
your
is.
Lakers stuff on right now.
Huh?
You got your Lakers stuff on right now.
Yeah, and I'm not a Lakers fan. I just I saw the shirt and they're like, hey, we'll pay
It's
homage to
funny.
LeBron.
It's funny that you just brought up Miami because there's a Twitter war going on right now. Who's better, Dirk or Wade?
Dirk or Wade? Oh, that's interesting. That's a really good one too.
Everybody has, and of course, as Twitter goes, everyone has very strong opinions.
Yeah, and there shouldn't be, because you can sell me on either one of those guys. I mean, Dirk was amazing and one of the best shooters that had over 6'10" of all time, and then Wade as a shooting guard, top 5. He's right there behind Jordan.
You're being far too level-headed for the internet.
Oh yeah, I don't get involved in all that stuff.
Yeah, that's a no-win conversation for sure.
I'll leave that to Skip Bayless.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, there you go. Yep.
He'll waste everybody's time with that.
Oh, that's right. Rob had to go to his other show.
Okay.
Which I forget which one it is. It's the Chicago one? No. It's somewhere he's got a show. Radio. But with the 3 of us remaining, I guess we can do a final round of best bets. You can use the bet, Chuck, that you already talked about, or a new one. You can go into baseball. But don't give out your 5%er because people, we need to eat, and they should go buy it because I'll tell you, Tony Mejia, if you saw his record this year, it's mind-blowing.
Oh, yeah?
I mean, who in their right mind gives out a 10-unit play on a run line dog of plus 150?
Oh, that's good. That's ballsy. What was that?
Houston and Anaheim. Just about, about 10 days ago? Yeah, I keep saying Anaheim. I don't care. I'll keep saying the football team, too. I'll keep saying the Iron Condors.
Iron Condors.
That was my recommendation for Mr. Snyder, the owner of the football team, to change his name to the Iron Condors because that's a pretty sophisticated option strategy that I learned how to do when I was working on Wall Street all those years. So I think Iron Condor just sounds a lot better.
I'm on the Red Hogs.
Oh, that'd be better too. My little skit. I mean, like, who's your favorite team? The football team. Well, which one?
The.
The. I mean, what kind of mascot is that? The football team.
Everything you guys bring up is probably better than what everybody thinks about the Guardians over here.
All the stuff that I write whenever I have to make sure that I don't write WTF out of just that looks more normal than WFT.
It does.
Yeah, because a spell checker's not going to catch that.
Right, and it's a natural mistake. I haven't done it yet, but I do double check. I have to.
Yeah, it's subconsciously you're on top of it for sure. I am too. What are they going to say? Oh yeah, the Guardians. They can't use that name in Cleveland. What was it? A volleyball team, women's volleyball team had trademarked, patented that name, the Guardians. They can't use it. Is what I think Tony Finher or Rob or somebody.
That would be news to me. I haven't heard that. I thought they were the Guardians next year.
Oh. I encourage you to do one thing that's kind of remarkable. Take the former logo and put it underneath what will be the new logo. And there's some canny similarities.
Yeah.
All right. I'll take a look at that.
Other than the spelling of the first couple words, I mean, the word ends the same way as the former one does. Just thought it was interesting.
Not to change Tony Finn's information, but I see nothing.
Yeah, I know.
I was
going to say, do you think Tony had just had a fresh batch of lewds at that point? I'm not sure. But.
Well, I fell for it then, but we can double check that too, because I really thought that was actually a legit thing that I actually heard maybe away from the show.
Yeah. So the way they feel about it in Ohio is, as you could imagine, it's about as good as they feel about Al Qaeda, but
yeah, I see that.
They
as of now, the Cleveland Guardians will debut on March 31st, 2022 against the Kansas City Royals.
There's a couple people I don't know if I should take them at their word because hyperbolic statements, but I have some friends over here that are changing teams.
Oh yeah,
that's intense.
That's a little too much.
It's a little too
much.
But hey, the good news is on those snap jackets that we had. You don't have to change the left side of your snap jacket. It's still IANS. So.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
Yeah.
That's my point of the logos.
Yeah.
I didn't think of the jackets. Yeah, it's pretty good. Max on record, and a couple guys want to know what Rob Vino's free pick was going to be, and I would have to think.
You're gonna guess.
I don't know.
I know he likes, just to give out a free pick for him, he likes Wake Forest and Louisville over 31 in the first half of tomorrow's game.
Let's use that one for sure.
Yes, that's what he gave out on the college football show.
Perfect.
Wake Forest over first half, 31.5, you said?
31, I believe.
Sounds like a total for a Jets game.
Yep.
What was that you said? Dr. Chuck and I are putting together some pretty good shows, I think, in our humble opinions, and we're doing the Jets game breakdown. And would you call it beating the Jets is like getting the free on bingo? What's that middle spot called?
Middle square.
Yeah, it's like you automatically get that one.
Yeah, it's. Yeah.
But if there was ever a week, segueing into the NFL here briefly with our final best bets, if there was ever a week where I'd be scared to go against the Jets, it's this week. And I ran.
Check this out, John. Sorry to cut you off, but
that's right.
I broke a rule that I normally. I mean, it's not a rule, so I didn't break it, but I typically avoid the Thursday night game.
I do too.
I really don't like this week's card, and so I said, you know what, the Bengals are probably going to be on it. And mind you, they had a slow start. It was what it was. I'd still make that bet. It was actually a 5% loser for me yesterday too. But yeah, the Jaguars played as well as they possibly could, and then they came back down to earth, and the Bengals started slow, and didn't have enough time to add a cheap touchdown through a pick six or something. But so I'm 0-1 for the contest for this week, and what leads me to my point on the Jets and Titans. I specifically, while looking at that game, said, do I like 5 without this to just wait a couple days for more info? The Titans would have been my 5th, and then I said 8. I just watched them on Sunday and saw A.J. Brown and Julio Jones leave their game with injuries, and they will not play, neither of them. So kept me off of that Titans-Jets game, especially laying 7, I believe, in that contest. 7.5.
7.5, I think the line is, yeah.
Yeah, you're
I ran that.
Not a lot of people are going to finish high up in a contest laying 7 on the road, right?
Well, yeah, that's definitely true. You just have to pick the spot. Sometimes, like Las Vegas, Chris and I have thought about it. Where psychologically, you sometimes late in the competition, if you're in the hunt, you actually have to sit there and think, what is the most ridiculous team I could pick? Because that's the team that's if you pull it off, you're going to jump over a ton of people.
Well, so. In Tony and my opinion, the most ridiculous team was the Jaguars because I was right with you, and.
Yeah, no, I mean, those I never beat myself up about just because you sit there and you're like, all right, well, I'm watching the game. I never felt out of it, and 14-14, I'm like, is there enough time? And then the Jags did get another score, I guess. But I love seeing Urban Meyer suffer. I just said that today to somebody. It is amusing to just see him because he looks like he's so broken. Oh my God, we didn't get that third down.
Well, he's out of his own element.
Yeah.
He's not used to this.
Was telling me that NFL audio caught him asking or telling Kingsbury this is like playing Alabama every week. That's hilarious. I hadn't heard that.
That is good. That's very good.
I think there's probably a lot of people that thought he might have feigned another heart attack after that 4th and goal from the 1.
That was the difference in the game for sure. I had the Bengals as the eliminator pick for the week in one of my 2, and that was very fortuitous because I thought 21-0 at halftime. This isn't going so well, but.
Well, not to belabor on this game even more, but like to Tony's point exactly, like what makes sports gambling harder is if in a vacuum the Bengals are going to go down there and score, they're not going to stop and kick a field goal. That's just not what was going to happen.
Right. Yep.
But that's how sports works. That's how timed sports work, and that's just the unfortunate nature of the way we play now. Is we change our we change our play calling. Like Andy Reid changed his play calling last Sunday night to the point where he's running a stupid dive with Edwards-Helaire, who all 11 Ravens know it, and they come in and they make him fumble. Like, you have to change your play calling to kick these stupid field goals. And, the Bengals were going to score a touchdown. It may have only gotten a lot of people a push, but push is better than a loss.
True.
What happens?
With the Super Contest, I have I guess more than 10 years of the Super Contest at the Westgate in a database. So that's 15,000 picks every single week. Not so many this week or this year because they only had 1,700 entries, I think. The Circa is the king. 4,000.
Yeah, that overlay
was hard.
I could only pick one, and I ended my streak of Super Contest entries at 6.
Well, the Circa I think it's the better one to be in, even though it's more people. But when Las Vegas Chris last year came in second and fifth, I was getting to know some of because Tony Finn said it's scary to think that analytically and contrarianism are kind of similar. You'll enjoy talking to them, and I did, and based on what happened last year, and I've always thought this: if I could predict what the top 5 most popular picks are going to be in the contest, and use that as a starting point, especially if in the last 4 weeks, if you're in the hunt, to identify those teams that are going to have the most popular selections.
And go the other way?
Yeah. So this week, and this is not play against because we're only week 4, so this is not. It doesn't bring the intelligence to the table until week 12. But it's based on just an absolute mountain of picks. So Kansas City, Tennessee, Tampa Bay, Dallas, Green Bay. That's what it's predicting for the top 5. So, like I said, if you were in week 15 and you're not sleeping at night because you're in the hunt, then these might be identified as a void. It might not necessarily be play against. It would be a void because if you're in 300th position and you need to get up to 99.
Well, either avoid John or make sure you're on one if you're in agreement, because you don't want to miss out on one just because.
Well, you're right, because then you don't lose ground.
Then exactly.
Right. But if there's one that you're on big and it's a minority against these top 5, then that is huge in the last 4 weeks. And you have to turn your mind inside out sometimes.
Sure.
Las Vegas Chris just told me Tennessee won't be on there, but the other 4 could.
Oh, on his card?
No, on the top 5. In other words, Kansas City, Tennessee, Tampa Bay, Dallas, Green Bay. He's saying the 4 of the 5 will be on there, but he thinks Tennessee will be the one that is absent.
Gotcha.
And he's probably right because now the picks can come in on the Jets, given the news that you just mentioned.
That's right.
Yep.
Right.
So that's a good point by Las Vegas Chris. Thanks for listening, by the way. So Tony Mejia, I'm sorry, Dr. Chuck, did you do your free pick yet? The best bet for the show.
No, so let's see. So those dogs I mentioned earlier, we also did a video earlier this week where I took Minnesota. I like that under as well. But let's see. I don't know if we want to add something different. Tony definitely mentioned a couple things that I am very much in agreement on. I like your Penn State pick that we had earlier this week. So let's.
We like the card. It's hard to pick one, but you can pick 2 if you want. But don't give away the store either.
All right. Well, I'll just channel my inner Scott Van Pelt and say that my play is the Akron Zips plus 9.5 at home.
Whoa! How about that?
Yeah, that's.
How
nasty.
about that? Wow!
Nasty. That is absolutely hold your nose, but it correlates with a lot of the same things that we've discussed here. Is why is Oregon a single-digit favorite? Why is Iowa laying a field goal to a team that no one might know about?
Yep.
So why is the worst team in football that might be worse than a bunch
Frank
of
Solis
FCS
would be
teams?
rolling over in his grave right now.
Who is?
Frank
Solich.
Solich.
Oh, yeah. But some of those, I know we're getting
His program's
short on
falling
time
apart
here,
in the
but
sun.
a lot of those Akron, that's why I said whoa, because a lot of those, we talk about the P value, which Finn says I should call the JR value, but it measures how different parameters work together.
Yeah.
Now, some of the Akron trends are so mature, is what I call it. Some of them are like 2 and 16, 1 and 20. That it's run its course, and now the market is giving you value every single week on Akron, whether you like it or not. And it sounds crazy to think that you would ever bet Akron. I'm telling you right now, I would never bet Akron every single week, but that's what the metrics are going to start telling you, and it's reverse. You'll see, 18 and 3. It was like the Arizona Diamondbacks this year. They were horrible in certain situations, but then it reversed, and they started actually winning games in that trend.
It is. It's a lot of market-based stuff, like you were saying. Like the Browns pre-Baker, with all that coaching stuff and all those quarterbacks going on, they were always a really solid ATS bet because the market. It's just It's like Tony was saying, is this more an indictment of Ohio, or is this just more of a, I don't know if people that are going to be holding a ticket on Ohio know that Frank Solich isn't the coach.
Right. Yeah.
It's that. Yeah, I can't debate that.
They're just going to say, they're thinking to themselves, "Holy cow, this is Akron." I think they might lose. They would probably lose to Mount Union. So.
Yeah, and when they say that, that's when you want to bet them. As dumb as it sounds, but I like it. Mr. Mejia, where are you going to take us to the window with?
Well, since I gave it out in the college football show, I'll give our viewers a 4% total for tomorrow. So this is a client play that I feel really strongly about. Since I just gave it away for free, on the other show, might as well treat our people. And again, you're getting it for free, so you get what you pay for. But if you like it, if it hits, then do a shot of something on me. Texas A&M against Mississippi State under 46 and a half, depending on where it is, has actually come up. It's strength on strength in terms of Mississippi State offense. It's the Mike Leach air raid. Will Rogers has completed 169 passes through 4 games. That's tops of the nation. 1,454 passing yards. That's number 1 in the SEC. 363 per game. But you take that with a grain of salt because they don't run the football at all. And the A&M pass defense ranks 4th in the country, 119 and a half yards through the air, 2 passing touchdowns all season allowed. Now, think about this as we've watched, at least 50 of Mike Leach's games over the last decade or so, where they get to the 10, 15-yard line with Washington State, and last year, obviously, his first year at Mississippi State. And because they refuse to run the ball and they have to settle for 3 or they're turned over on downs. I think that happens here. Then you have the A&M side of the ball where, first of all, this Mississippi State defense looks pretty solid, and Zach Calzada and that Texas A&M offensive line just look absolutely terrible. And A&M doesn't have anybody behind Calzada. They have a preferred walk-on freshman, Bost, I think is his last name, that would be the emergency quarterback if Calzada fails to play. The offensive line already got their would-be starter hurt for the season, so he's out. And Calzada had 38 dropbacks last week. In a win, mind you. They barely held on. 6 passes completed to wide receivers. And Aeneas Smith is one of those receivers. Can't get the ball. They're just dumping it down to Spiller and Weidermeyer. And with dump-offs and all these instances where you're probably going to have the offenses come to a skid in the red zone and settle for field goals. I just think 46 and a half is too many. Last year's game, the first one between Leach and Jimbo Fisher in the SEC, A&M won 28-14, and Mississippi State scored 7 of those 14 on a pick 6. So give me the under here. I think that we have plenty of cushion there with 46 and a half.
Yep, and I'm writing it down here at 46. And I guess we know what mine is. I feel like I should give out 2 because it's, Mississippi. And let's see where they're. I don't know if the line's moved a touch, but I'm putting this in the chat room so when people see this archive, they can see it pretty easily.
What's more likely, that it moves to 14 or that it moves to 15? 15, right?
I would think. I mean, we said I think on one of our shows that if it did scoot down to 13.5, and this is like talking on Tuesday, that I think you'd get some serious buyback. And you still might, but I think it's foolish, and I could have egg on my face. I think it's foolish to think that, oh my God, it's a game at Alabama, the line's getting shorter, and I'm going to bet it. I mean, like, not shorter, that's the wrong word. It's getting cheaper.
Yeah.
I mean, how many times do you see Alabama's line go against them?
Tickets have, on the Wager Talk live odds screen, tickets have Ole Miss getting 73%. 86% of the money, and the line has moved from 16.5 to 14.5 almost everywhere except JB Smoove and Caesars and Circa. So they're at 15.
Yeah, and Heritage's and Penny are both 14.5.
JB Smoove.
All right, so we'll do that. Or plus 14.5, and then the money line I'm seeing not enough. I'm not happy with this money line. Because too many darn people are betting Mississippi on the money line too. I mean, plus 475. I see 500 at Caesars, but that's not really fair to take for a bet because not everybody can use Caesars, which is basically William Hill too. But
a lot of money, reverse line move actually. Money coming in on Navy, 76%, and that line has moved UCF on the road from laying 15 to laying 16.5, 17, and it's the Mikey Keene debut. He's a freshman taking over for Dylan Gabriel, who's out for the year pretty much. And my intel from UCF is that he's going to be pretty good, but he's no Dylan Gabriel, so that's interesting. A lot of people down on the midshipmen.
So you're saying that you would lean towards Navy? I
would lean towards Navy, but not touching the game.
All right. I'm going to finish typing in the bets after we leave the show. But before I let you go, let's go one at a time. Just tell everyone what you have going on at your site and what promotions you want to make for the weekend. Where you rank. The floor is yours, Dr. Chuck.
So we have, as you mentioned earlier, and then before Tony and Rob got on here, I have a 5-unit baseball play tonight in a game that has some playoff implications. In there, you also get a couple other baseball plays. I have a couple just client plays that are going off tonight, which we kind of mentioned a little bit, and we didn't get into all 3 games, actually. We only discussed the Big Ten game, but there's an interesting Utah matchup out there, BYU and Utah State. We have a play in that game. And I have an NFL pack that has been on sale all week and kind of correlated to the video that you and I had made with the Bengals. Not to gloat too much, but all 4 of those plays are not anywhere near where they were when we released them. I would, it's still for sale, and I think it's a good value. I would probably go with like an all-access package because I'm going to be definitely hammering this last weekend of baseball. And then, free plays galore. I love Tony's under play, which I also have as a play, so I might as well just say that as well. I think Mike Leach has gone under 3 times in a row, and then they drop the total by 10 points. So I think they're telling everyone, hey, you can take the over now. So I love that. But yeah, we have stuff all the time, and then there's always going to be all access deals. They're focusing on an all access all year. That'll get you next year's baseball as well.
Awesome. Tony Mejia, what do you have going on at Wager Talk?
I will probably find a way to put a 5% play in college or NFL at some point this weekend. Probably not both like I did last week. But yeah, the 5%. I was first for a while since October. I'm coming up on my 1-year anniversary, middle of the month. So I was first for a while on 5% profits, and now I'm second. And it's, I've lost probably 3 out of my last 5, so I don't like that. I need to get 4 straight, get that back up into the high 70s on return of investment. But we'll have a 5% play. 4% are going really well in both college and NFL. 9-2 in NFL, 6-0 run, and 4% plays in college, which will ride tonight. In that BYU Utah State game, I have a 4% running on that. And when I log off here, I'm going to check Tulsa Houston, look at my notes from earlier in the week, and make a call on that. So then I'll have a play on all 3 FBS games for tonight. Like I said, high volume on college football. I just think the fact that these kids get to play only once a week, it really lends itself to take a shot, whether you're fading or firing away on a team bouncing back. And then MLB, really tough night yesterday because I was on a 16-5 run on 4% plays. Now it's 16-7, 9-3 on 4% run line plays. Definitely not going to have anything tonight. I hate this baseball card. So good luck, Dr. Chuck, on your 5%. And then we'll see if the Yankees can wrap up this home field. Certainly, that couldn't have gone any better. What has transpired with New York and the rest of the American League wildcard picture.
Yeah, absolutely, good stuff. And myself, I'm 68%. I think I'm number one at Sports Memo in college football. Won with Virginia last night, and Dr. Chuck had Virginia as well. That one was pretty easy, but now it's I have a total going tonight in football, and then tomorrow I have a 5%er packaged up with 4 unit plays. And compared to last week's card, I love this week's card, and hopefully that can go 4-1 and make everybody happy. NFL was 65.8 last year. I know that was number one at Sports Memo. Not at 65% right now, but right at 60 on the nose. So that's okay. The fact of the matter is, people that are new to this have to understand that, like, we're tickled pink, and our big clients that do bet dime games and higher, they're happy as hell if we hit 56 or above. 58% for a whole season. I mean, they're ready to take you out to dinner, get you a car. And it's nonsense to think that you can hit. There's guys out there in the world that say, I'm hitting 80% winners on this this whatever the name of the play is.
Well, it's
just nonsense.
Yeah, you can hit 80% for 2 weeks, and that's about it. And then regression sets in.
Yeah, and then the betting gods say, no. You're not that smart. You're not that smart. And we're going to make you look really stupid right now. But to your point, before I let you guys go, Tony Mejia said, I was what were you, 16-5, and now you're 16-7.
Right. After
a bad night. It was just one bad night. But if you look at the whole body of work, you're going to have days where you're going to be 3-0. You have days that are 0-3. You're going to have days that are 2-2. But you grind it out, and over the course of the season, it works. And that's the patience that these, when you're doing this new, you have to have the patience to just go along for the ride and realize that some days we're going to look like we've never done this before in our life, and other days we're going to look like we have a crystal ball. And that's all I had to say for this week.
And my last thing to add, because, I mentioned earlier how I played 30 college football games last week, and I'll probably have something like 30. I don't expect my clients to bet all 30, but I'm offering you the menu because if you're paying me for my opinion, might as well give it to you. And you can give it away. Koken gives it away for free on Twitter, and that's great too. It's just getting the message out there, because the bottom line is like this is our job. We stare at these from the moment the opening line is set. Then you inquire what the heck's going on with the injury report. Then you're monitoring the line movement all week. And Joe Client doesn't have the time to do that because he's focused on his own job. So that's my rationale on that. We're pros for a reason.
Right, and that's why we get paid, because of all the work we do, and so that the clients don't have to do it, and they end up learning how to, over time you trust the pro,
right?
Instead of falling prey to the 80% promotion. Well, anyway, thanks for your time, guys. Dr. Chuck, Tony, Rob Vito, Tony Finn, Las Vegas Chris, Steve Merrill. I know I'm forgetting a lot of names. But you're all deeply in our hearts here for this weekend of Best Bets winners. So on behalf of Dr. Chuck, Tony Mejia, and myself, Wager Talk, Sports Memo, Predictive Playbook, may all the wins be yours for the entire weekend.